Hello, everybody. This is M. Kuemzi, and I am back for another version of Notes from the Art of Leadership, number 6. And I'm going to be discussing actually 2 excerpts from the book. The first excerpt being our dedication, which is the very first section of the book, written by Dr. Cashapp Kilimanjaro. You guys know already where we're reading it from, so that would be page 5. I'm also going to expound on another section of the book, which will be found in this part 2. That will also be Dr. Cashapp Kilimanjaro's section, page 211, and it would be ideal number 6, titled "No Moral, Mental, or Martial Purity, No Discipline, No Chance of Victory." But let's get started. Page 5, dedication, and I'll read from the book. I'll also have a screenshot up on the screen. To our wonderful ancestors who gave us new life, we are the initiators, and we should keep this fact deeply in our hearts. We will pass into history as the initiators, the ones who, against all odds, did what had to be done and paid the cost. For some time, we quietly have been writing a new history on indestructible pages. We see beginners of both a seal and a breach, a conclusion and a beginning, a death and a rebirth. Our tasks with empty hands have ended, and today our words full of deeds begin. From here, the past deeds are sealed, and we open the future. The future is determined by our actions. This we will do. History demands it. Our class, race, sex, gender, culture, generations desire it. We must accomplish it, and it will be accomplished. So how can we be so optimistic? Or how can Cashapp Kilimanjaro be so optimistic with these words? That is the hope of us as a collective doing the right things. And in doing the right things, that means that we have to put down all these European modalities that have programmed us to think and feel and act the way that we do in this paradigm, in this European capitalistic paradigm. Let's start with a couple of choices that we make as Africans. Let's start with the choice of religion. Is it really a choice? Can you have African identity and be a Muslim? Some people say you can. I've just seen a post or a YouTube video of somebody who's well known make a case for being African and being Muslim. You can't do that. This is not a place right now for the debate, and I wouldn't debate it anyway. I wouldn't even discuss it because it doesn't make any sense to be a Muslim and to call yourself African at the same time, because all of the historical facts clearly state and show that Islam did not even start in Africa, even though some people want to tell you that it did, and it did not. African identity, excuse me, African identity, we show off our trinkets, our memorabilia, our African masks on the wall, our African art, but we walk around with these Christian ideals and mindsets. Can you do that? Obviously that's your choice. I mean, I'm not saying that nobody has the right to do that. I'm simply saying that you cannot be both. And if we want to be optimistic as Dr. Cashapp Kilimanjaro put in this dedication of this book, we're gonna have to face up to the facts and the truth, the historical truth and the historical facts, and be African without all the other baggage that comes along with it. Another question or conversation or discussion, debate, and I don't think it's either of those things. I think it's just a fact that accepting the death style of the LGBTQIA community is suicide. Now, again, I'm going to say the same thing I said about the African mask and memorabilia and walking around with afros and things like that, and being a Muslim, being a Christian. I'm going to say a thing about the LGBTQI. Any adult thinking, and I will say questionably, thinking with a clear mind, has the right to be gay, even if they think they was born that way. That's fine. What you don't have the right to do is enforce your agenda, your gay death style, and promoting it into the schools, into the educational process and systems of our children. Of course, the discussion about, educating your own children and all that kind of stuff plays a big role here, but that's another conversation. You do not have the right. Why is the LGBTQIA, why are they so powerful? Why do they symbolize all the things that people want to be in this society? What do they symbolize? Let's ask that question. Let's answer that question. They symbolize political power. That's obvious, because now all the political pundits want to, play allies with the LGBTQIA community, because they have gotten to the point where they're very powerful politically. It also means privilege. Along with that, political power comes privilege. Some people, and I'm going to be, I'm going to play psychiatrist right now, amateur psychiatrist, where people who are not so socially adept, not so politically powerful, not so upwardly mobile in their own minds, they don't have the ability to do those things, they can be swayed into the gay death style, making the conscious decision to do that because it gives you more opportunities in a whole lot of different industries. We can go on and on about the industries: music, Hollywood, acting jobs, you name it. We can go on and on and on. But the facts is that we can always say, and we can assume, probably with a higher probability, that a lot of people are making that decision to do that to get more opportunity in this corrupted European capitalistic paradigm. There's enough to say that people are socially exploited in that particular sense, and they are exploited in that sense because that's all you see. People who are not as strong-willed and strong-minded as others will fall prey to the media manipulation, the images, the things that we see every day as being socially acceptable, the pop cultural stuff, that it's okay to engage in all of these different, lifestyles and sexual activities and everything else. But before I go on, I want to recap this particular discussion with the other part I wanted to tell you guys about. And we're going to go to page 211. And this will be number 6. This is Takama Kilimanjaro's part of the book, section 2, titled No Moral, Mental, or Martial Purity, No Discipline, and No Chance of Victory. To the extent that almost all African organizations have lacked the morality, virtue, and ethics which have been the backbone of any previous successful epochal movement, they could not be successful. Religion and spirituality is not necessarily morality. Ritual is not ethics. Self-criticism and correction require an independent system of right and wrong, good and bad, just and unjust, duty and necessity. Aside from the few core of great black leaders who stood their ground as uncompromisingly independent examples of high moral, mental, and martial standards, African misleadership has been the central internal cause of African world servitude and suffering. Reestablish and enforce our ancient African Kemetic code of Ma'at as the honorable, moral, and ethical way to live our lives. So that kind of puts everything in clear, crystal clarity about all the things I just went over. There has to be a moral and justified way of looking at our lives and making responsible moral decisions about what we do with our lives. And in order to be African, we can engage in all these different things. I mean, when I look at this past, we're into the, we're in the season of now of I guess electing, if you want to call it that, a new president. And I'm not even sure whether it is true or not. I know I've seen the ad about Kamala Harris talking about giving prisoners in the prison system the resources, the money, the finances, if they choose to get sex change operations and gender change operations. Now, it sounds like it might be true, but I want to let you guys kind of look into that yourselves. I want to look into that too as well to see how true that is. But even if it's not even remotely true, why would somebody even think about that? Why would somebody even think about doing that? Okay, why would you give a criminal who has not did anything? Well, some people are in jail not because they made bad decisions. They just found themselves in the wrong situations at the wrong times. However, most of those, at least a lot of them, a high percentage of them, are there because they made bad decisions. And a lot of those bad decisions was based on doing something harmful in their own communities, in their own African community. So you can't be African if you're doing that either. Okay. We have a big thing with leadership that is lacking. We have a very, 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 very big hole, deep chasm, black hole of missing leadership. We need to start talking about the issues, the real issues. Some of the things I mentioned today have to be mentioned, have to be talked about in your community, in your families. Talk about these things. Okay? You cannot be one or the other. You cannot be this or that. You can't straddle the fence. It's just that simple. Our future. What does our future look like? If we don't change our mindsets, if we don't get a moral compass, if we don't do the right things based on the principle of Ma'at, where does our future look like? What does our future look like? Everybody talks about nationhood, okay? But the nationhood that I think we should be concentrating on is the African conscious mindset nationhood. Until we understand exactly who we are, this dream of being sovereign in an African nation, geographically somewhere on the planet, is a definite impossibility. It's not going to happen until we understand as Africans what we are, who we are, and then what we should be and how we should act. It's your choice. It's simple. It's going to be a generational quest for people like me at an advanced age. I know I won't see it. I know I won't see the changes. I'm hoping that I might see some signs before I check out of here. That would be a blessing. But again, to our children, to our seeds, it's your choice. Most of the people my age, or maybe a little bit younger than me, we're gone. We're done. Some people I know personally are trying to do the right things. We're trying to reach out to you, young people. We're trying to put these little seeds of information out there that can germinate, where you guys can feed on, where you guys can nurture yourselves on. This is what our hope is. This is what our dream is. Reconstitute your African vitality and life, or die. I'm Emiku Emzi. Peace. Abibifahodie.